There's something about a requiem that seems to demand a soaring cathedral like the Duke Chapel. The Italian composer Giuseppe Verdi understood that in 1874 when he wrote his Requiem. The first performance was in a church in Milan.
Get the tall people towards the back when you get up there. Can you all see me now when I do that? So no excuses.
And Grant Llewellyn, music director of the North Carolina Symphony, understands it today. That's why he chose the Duke Chapel for the orchestra's concert of Verdi's Requiem. The vaulted ceilings and narrow sanctuary give the music just the right sound, while the stained glass windows glorify the fading light of a spring evening.
Right on it, on the Liberame. Here we go.
It's a huge work, a 79-piece orchestra, 4 soloists, the North Carolina Master Chorale, and the Durham Choral Society. Llewellyn remembers directing the Requiem only once before, long ago on an evening when he says he was desperately ill with the flu. The Verdi Requiem is one of those showy extravaganza pieces that orchestras like to do to close the season. It's as if they want to give us something to remember them by until the next season.
We always want to feel good about the experience.
Dr. J. Mark Scarce, director of the music department at NC State, says that's a tradition with orchestras.
And what we have when we enter the concert hall is a secular cathedral in a lot of ways. So we are coming to this large event primarily written for the church and a large showpiece to have a religious experience where the music is the centerpiece.
Giuseppe Verdi was one of the 19th century's most venerated and successful composers, a spiritual man who was nevertheless not a regular churchgoer. One writer called his Requiem Mass a deeply religious work, written by a great skeptic.
To approach a Requiem Mass, I think you need a combination of craftsmanship and technique and sheer nerve, because the range, the spectrum of emotions that is explored in the text is massive. How's C major? Good? Here we go.
Verdi was known for his operas, among them Aida, La Traviata, and Rigoletto. Some critics say the Requiem is Verdi's greatest opera because it's so theatrical. Take the section of the piece about the Day of Judgment, called in English, The Day of Wrath. Makes you want to mend your ways, doesn't it?
There is a theatricality about it, most certainly. But he treats this text in a way that I think he would never treat an opera text. It's reverential. Yes, of course, everyone will say, well, Verdi was an agnostic. He wasn't a practicing Catholic, and no, he wasn't. But my goodness, if anybody had a sense of the human spirit, I think that he did.
The days when the North Carolina Symphony can mount this sort of massive production with 300 performers on stage at one time, those days may be numbered. Hard times have struck symphonies and the arts across America. The North Carolina Symphony has a budget of almost $14 million a year. About 30% of that goes to educational concerts for school children, played in halls and schools across the state. But many people who traditionally donate to the orchestra and support it with year-long subscription tickets are sitting on the sidelines. The symphony has borrowed against its line of credit. The orchestra's executive staff and Llewellyn himself have agreed to substantial pay cuts this year. But the conductor scoffs at the idea that the symphony this year was playing a requiem for itself.
Oh, God forbid. I think I can say that. in this space? Of course not. The North Carolina Symphony has been with us for the last 75 years, is part of the fabric of this state. We are having to be as creative and as persuasive as we possibly can be, just to maintain what for me is the most important thing, is the artistic product. Every time I stand up on the rostrum in front of the players, it doesn't matter what the repertoire is in front of us, we still hold the highest possible artistic ideals before us. I feel a real groundswell of support from the whole state, really.
For more than 75 years, the North Carolina Symphony has entertained the people of this state from the mountains to the coast. Now, the leaders of the orchestra are determined that they will continue to do that, even in these hard times.